Hello, Assalamualaikum. Welcome to the first episode of the SHRS Podcast. Today we have a very interesting guest with us, Syed Hassan Habib. He has worked for the government of Pakistan and he joined through CSS. He has worked as the ambassador in several countries such as North Korea, Morocco, Iran, Switzerland. Assalamualaikum, sir. It is a
Wa-
pleasure to have you here today.
Walaikum assalam. Thanks for inviting me.
So let's begin with your journey. Could you navigate us through how you made the decisions you made, what led you to CSS? And I think something very interesting about you is the fact that you first did CSS, joined the government of Pakistan, and reappeared in your CSS exam because you wanted to join the foreign services. So, what was the thought process behind all of this?
Thank you very much for the question. Uh, I always loved science and pursued my master's degree in science and was happily working in a chemical process industry, making very good money. Then my mother got this bright idea. She was a very learned lady who was attending college in 1948 when she got married to my father, who had a double master's in geography and law from Aligarh. So she said, I have four sons. One must work for the state of Pakistan. Other three were smart. They kept working in their professions. I, just to please my mother, said, okay, I'll try. So I appeared in CSS, and because of my own subject, I landed slightly lower in merit. So I was offered uh, a, a job. I joined because in this process my mother passed away. So just to please her, I reappeared and got foreign service. So that is my simple story. But in between, the best thing is that you have to keep your hopes high. You have to work hard, and you should believe in yourself. Because if I had lost it first time, that look, I could not go to a higher merit. So it was the end of my journey somewhere else. So I joined foreign services. I worked around the world. I've seen the world. I've met very interesting people. The ideologue of Hamas I have met in Iran. That is what I cherish most. I met in very detail the former Prime Minister of Bosnia, Excellency Haris Salajit. It was a fascinating journey, and I met so nice people. And then finally, I landed in. After my retirement, I came here to meet the former president, who was a fabulous person, a visionary. So he asked me to start China Center because he was not very well. So we could not work that, and then I slowly moved to teaching, and I enjoy all moments. So from a very extremely rigid service, very how to say ever-changing scenario in Foreign Office, I finally came to IOBM, and I don't regret even one moment of my journey. That is my plain journey.
I think that is a very interesting story to tell. Also, there are several students, including myself, who aspire to do CSS. So, could you help us through the process? Do you think anything has changed since when you applied? And do you have any suggestions and any recommendations as to how they could navigate through that?
See, the first thing about CSS is that you should have a very wide reading. I always tell you people that your general reading should be very expanded. Unfortunately, at the moment, in your generation, reading habits are changing. We were the last generation reading through books. You people go through blogs or vlogs, or it's a different. But still, if you keep your directions correctly, means, for example, if a paper comes where the question is slightly away from the normal course or your predicted thing, you can supplement your answer through the readings that you have done. And there are certain pitfalls that you have to follow, like English remains the main vehicle. So you have to follow English. And there's a very interestingly, Islamiyat is the most dangerous subject for the students because what we know, religion, comes from very unauthentic sources. Uh, you have to read it through proper books. Uh, Only then there is a hope that you can make. But the key point is that you have to keep a balance. You can excel in one subject, but if you don't pass all, then you have no chance. So you have to keep a very delicate balance of time and your focus on subjects to attend. The only major change that I see from my times in 80s to now is that now they have divided the optional subject, and but in our time we were more freer to choose. Like first time I have chosen lot of subjects. I had international law, I had American history, I had chemistry, I had so many subjects. For 600, I think I had 4 subjects. Second time I got smarter. I forgot about chemistry because chemistry was the subject that had brought down my merit. So second time I had 200 marks of political science, 200 marks of Islamic history, and 200 marks for Urdu literature. And that pulled me from especially the Islamic history and culture. That landed me in foreign service.
Perfect.
So you have to keep a balance. Your choices should be more open, and you should focus on all subjects. Give attention to every subject.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. When I look at your introduction, something that fascinates me a lot is the fact that you lived in North Korea as an ambassador for that long, and North Korea is known to be a very closed off community. So what was it like being the ambassador there? And I'm pretty sure you incurred certain challenges there. So could you reflect upon those?
See, in North Korea, yes, it's a very closed society and a very, very tough life. For not only for locals, for foreigners as well. Like finding halal food was almost impossible. So we used to literally smuggle goats, slaughter them in the embassy, store the meat. And we used to go very regularly to China. We will carry our mail directly. We will not trust the local system. So on return, to quote unquote one of my colleagues, they said we go like ambassadors and come back like porters. So we will bring all food stuff from there, chicken and beef and you name it. We will used to bring certain vegetables also from China and so many things. So it was a tough life. The quality of life was very difficult. Weather was harsh. Imagine you are having minus 15 degrees temperature outside and you have no heating. Similarly, the main drawback was the information flow. No local will talk to you. A building collapsed in North Korea. I got to know. I used to read South Korean newspaper on net through Chinese system, and then CNN, BBC, whatever. So I knew that the building has fallen. I asked my staff, "Is there a news?" They looked at the newspaper and said, "Sir, no." Second day again, but first day I had written a report sent to Foreign Office, and I had said I'll follow it up. Second day, third day, sixth day, my interpreter, whose job is to read newspaper and tell me what is in the press, says, "Sir, a building has fallen." I said, "It is 6 days earlier news. Did you knew it?" He says, "Yes." Everybody knew in the city that the building has fallen, killing close to 80 or 100 people. He said, "But you have not told me." He said, "It appeared in the press today." So till something will appear in the press formally, nobody will tell you anything. And it was such a strange system that it was like a matrix. You had a jigsaw puzzle and you only know one piece. So unless you collect couple of hundred people, you will not get the full picture. That is the strength of the system. That is what keeps others at bay from attacking them. And the life was absolutely miserable for common people. The people are divided into 3 classes: tomato, apple, and grape class. If you are from the apple class, you will go to a higher university, you will go to a higher level of job. But if you were from the lower class, there were certain colors that you could wear and the other colors you could not. And you will get that good news that which class you belong to during the first couple of days of your birth. So the life is very tough, and the punishments are so harsh that I would like to give a whole lecture to Pakistan community anywhere in the world what punishment is. If you ask me what is the one lesson that I will share with Pakistanis, my fellow countrymen, is that you should thank God at least 8 times a day, 5 times in prayer, 3 times extra, because you are not born in North Korea. If otherwise, the controls and hardship would have killed you day one. If I give you more examples, they will be interesting. My maid used to come on bicycle from 12 kilometers away. She had to be at the gate of the embassy 8:30. Their attendance was biometric. She will never tell us that it was blizzard, minus 12 temperature, wind running at 20 knots per hour. No excuse accepted. She had to be there, dead or alive, 8:30 at the gate. The driver's house was away from our embassy. After function, normal diplomatic or other functions, we will arrive home around 10:30. Then he will walk 10 kilometers to his house because buses will close at 10 p.m. These people were surviving. They knew how to live, and they had a very, very tough life like that.
This sounds like a very dystopian alternate reality that doesn't even exist, but it is real.
It is real. It is real. They are surviving. They are surviving in the harshest climate, toughest condition. Like there are no intercity transport. I was traveling on the road and I saw a very decent looking girl walking along the highway. So I asked my translator, I said, why the hell is she walking on the highway? Nowhere in the world I've seen people walking on the highway. They said she's probably going to the next city. How far is that city? 40 kilometers. Why she don't go by transport? There is no transport. I said, if you want somebody, I said, we'll send a car and after job, drop her back. That is what life is. There are very little opportunities because you cannot travel. You cannot wear colorful dresses. Brown, black, blue, these are the colors you...
Why not?
System don't allow you. Before I arrived, but the 1 year before my arrival, means 2013, girls were not allowed to ride bicycles. And there's a famous story that one of the very popular TV anchor was learning to ride bicycle in her locality. All of a sudden, somebody said the minders are coming, the political people who look for violations. She jumped from the bicycle, broke her leg, just to be away from the people who could catch her riding a bicycle and throw her in.
Because the fear is so deeply embedded into them.
3 generations of fear and propaganda had created a nation that cannot even think, that they are trapped.
Do you think that in a way limits their development also?
Of course. See, any nation develops because they have ideas, because they have hopes, because they have a direction. The direction comes from one person who had seen the world but has come up with ideas. See, Kim Jong-un had done his schooling from Switzerland. His sister, who is now in power hierarchy number 2, was in a girls' school in near Geneva, and Fat Kim was in Bern, International School of Bern. But nobody knew who he was. People thought he's from some staff member's son. There were 2 boys with him who were basically bodyguards, but they just for cover, they attended classes, they attended homework, they went into sports and everything. In fact, my children studied in the same school when I was posted in Switzerland. So I asked the teachers, I said, How can you be so naive not to know that he is from higher apparent, son of Kim Jong Il? He said, we could not guess. We thought he is a common, because he never said anything. And those two poor bodyguards were doing everything like a common student. So this is a system which is perfected in espionage, in information, in deception, and in all sort of things that we don't know even.
Now that we're on the topic of North Korea, it reminded me of sanctions. Because of their restrictive policies and their nuclear program, they do have a lot of sanctions that other countries place on them. And I went through one of your articles, Lessons on the Ukraine War. In the article, you mentioned how sanctions are a weak policy tool, and the other countries suffer because of those. So could you elaborate on that? Because in my opinion, if it's a country like North Korea with policies like that, I feel like sanctions are a good way to discourage them.
See, these sanctions, I have lived in almost 3 countries who have been under sanction. North Korea, China in many fields, and Iran. Sanctions hurt the weakest segment of the society.
True.
The poor people, aged, invalids, and so on and so forth. But these systems, Iranian, for example, to some extent Pakistanis also, we smuggle all our things, sensitive materials, sensitive technologies. In fact, I was part of one, I will not take the name, but we used to hide import of certain technologies from China. It was so perfect that my own boss in Islamabad had no concept what was going on. So when I came back from China, he said, tell me one word, that particular name that you used to refer to, what was behind it? By that time it was open so I could share with him. But to counter sanctions, you have to be innovative. Iranians do it, North Koreans do it, the Chinese do it, and we do it. So there are ways to blunt the impact of sanctions.
What are those ways?
For example, the ships are watched. Ship leaving a certain port is watched, but you do the transshipment. You change ship's name so frequently that the follower goes bonkers. He has no concept what is happening, because I am changing the name of the ship every day. One day it is called PNS Mehran, second day it is PNS Khushab, third day it becomes PNS Karachi, fourth day. So the shipper, the people who are following have problem, and you move in a certain way, because now the watchers use satellites. They watch through so many systems, so you have to be very smart to smuggle things, but they are doing it. They make sure that their system is changing, ever changing, and this does not leak to the enemy. But the UN maintains a list of ships under sanction, people under sanction. It's a very vibrantly maintained list. But you have to be smart, one step ahead of the watcher. That is the key to it. So you could do it if you are smart enough, and countries do it. But it hurts the poor segment. Like the currency gets costlier, so medicines are costlier. The grains get costlier, things get costlier. So the poor segment, the invalid, the sick will suffer.
Right. A very ongoing and pressing issue these days is the Israel-Palestine conflict, and it has turned into a genocide. What is your stance on this entire situation? What do you think the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Pakistan could have done differently to offer support to Palestine as an Islamic Muslim country? Do you think something could have been done different, something could have been done in a better way to offer more support?
Yeah, I think our stance has been very weak, official stance. publicly we are very vocal and very forward in support of Gaza, but our government support and voice had been very weak. We have not sent any proper reliefs. We have not done enough to put pressure on Israel. To me, Muslim countries should have done something to hurt Israel economically. Because Israel is blindly supported by America on this subject, we should have moved more smartly to block Israeli products of the occupied territory. In UN, we should have proposed sanctions on Israel very vehemently. And if UN was not doing it, we should have started doing it ourselves. We have OIC, we have Arab League, we have African Union. There are so many platforms, but I think Muslim countries, under pressure from America, I will not name the countries, were so weak that they were questioning. Out. Pakistan was at the moment of Gaza was at its lowest point. So our caretaker government could not do anything. Even before that, our foreign policy was weaker under coalition government, and so on and so forth. Even now, unfortunately, Pakistan's political parties don't have a clear stance on the foreign policy issues. They don't have people who are good in foreign, as foreign minister. Bilal's performance was not very encouraging during his stunt with the Shehbaz Sharif's government, and he is again looking for the same post. We are not getting new ideas. So the best or the most serious thing is we always put blame either on politician or on bureaucracy. Why not on the third force? The most organized bureaucracy in Pakistan, the military bureaucracy. We are afraid. We don't take names. Okay, I'll not go beyond it, but the bureaucracy's job is to implement what has been told to them. So they are mules, basically. They don't go look beyond the horizon. I have worked in bureaucracy 34 years with Ministry of Communication and Foreign Office both.
But doesn't that defeat the entire purpose of their job?
No. The bureaucracy, I can give you a classical example. Bureaucracy's job is to follow. You tell them this has to be achieved, they will follow the procedure. Like if you say you have to make a dam to store water and create electricity, then they will start working. They will prepare PC4, which is the broad concept, go to PC3, 2, 1. 1 is the approval final, that this project will be done, these will be the benefit, blah, blah. And then they will start advertising, shortlisting contractor, and so on. But who will tell them where to do the dam? Political leadership. They should be smart enough. They should have a vision. And for vision, you don't have to study. You don't have to... See, Modi's the Bright India is an example how an illiterate man, almost illiterate man, can turn the country into... So he had a vision. And the bureaucracy followed. I said, now, bureaucracy is like this. Since the oldest bureaucracy, the most surviving bureaucracy, was the Chinese Confucian bureaucracy, which for 2,500 years kept China running, noting things. Why you see so many books on Chinese literature, culture, art, geography, poetry? They were all bureaucrats who were doing it, and they were selected based on merit, and they were told they were told a vision, and they followed. In our case, unfortunately, due to discontinuities, our politicians have first problem with their survival. Your prime ministers don't complete their tenures for whatever reason. Your president goes left, right, whatever happens, and so on and so forth. There is no... And secondly, our law implementation is one of the weakest link in our developmental or the functional part of the government. Why? For hiring a naib qasid, grade 2, lowest grade employee, you advertise, you have a standard, height, weight, eyesight. Even if you are hiring a soldier, you have to have a standard. What about Chief Justice and Justice of the courts? Certain, they are nominated by politicians. Are they sane? Is there a medical test for them? Is there a structure for them? No. Why can't we start similar services starting from sessions court? People serve 5 years in session court, then they go 10 years in high court, and then 10 years in Supreme Court. They just land in Supreme Court or high court, and then nobody knows them. They get very high salaries, they get very high perks, because they have assigned these duties to them. To increase the salary of a government servant, you have to go through 500 processes. Supreme Court chief sits and one day he announces this is the salary, so many liters of petrol, so many cars, and blah blah. So you have to bring the system one on a same level. Unless you do it, if there is a disparity, a major general retires with 5 plots given by the government. A grade 20 officer like me retires not an inch of a plot. In fact, I had submitted money, 3 million rupees in 2016. Still, there is no news. If I had invested that money in Beria town, I would have been a millionaire at least. So you have to, for the government, you have to have a vision. You have to have people who should be held responsible even when they leave. The last tranche of IMF, which came in Shehbaz Sharif's prime ministership, was distributed to the MNAs. No control, no supervision. What they did with that money, nobody really knows it. These development funds, why you give to MNAs? What is the job of an MNA, by the way, if I ask you?
Basically, they're representing a constituency.
Their job is to make law and then oversee that the law is implemented in letter and in spirit, where it is written that they will do the developmental projects.
Okay, sir. So, as an IR student myself, there's this question that a lot of people ask me often, and it is that with such a major humanitarian catastrophe going on and so many others going on, genocides होते हैं, crises होते हैं, humanitarian crises होते हैं, इतनी चीज़ें हो रही हैं. Why are organizations like the UN not playing a role as they should be playing? Because the entire purpose of these organizations is to deal with issues like these, but their role has been very non-existent. Why?
First of all, please remove this conception that these organizations were created to solve problems. These organizations like UN were created to support the existing world order, dominated by US and other powers then fell in difference. Secondly, the biggest supporter of UN still is USA. Financial supporter, I mean. And the whole system is designed to support the ongoing world order, which is dominated by US and benefiting Europe. That is why if you see the vetoes, mainly belongs to US, UK and France. UK is now not even a middle power, so is France. Why they are kept as a veto powers? Because they will guarantee EU or the Europe supremacy, the supremacy of America, and to some extent Russia, which was USSR originally, and China. China is still lower than a middle power. Russia has lost its status, so UN will run like this. They will not do anything against America or the West, to be saying simply. So if you have a hope that UN will one day be very effective and will solve their problem, their focus is elsewhere. They focus on development, they focus on health to support the have-nots. to an extent that they ultimately they will form an alliance with the major powers. So UN and other systems are not there to solve problems. They are there to keep the system running. So I don't have much hope from UN because of the system of veto, the sanctions. Why haven't the UN put sanctions on Israel for this indiscriminate bombing? See, Israel have twin responsibility. Number one, if they were attacked, they should have responded, and the response should have been what we say proportionate. You don't kill a fly with a tank. That is called the disproportionate. 1,200 Israelis were killed, some by the Israelis themselves. Okay? So they should have killed equal number or double whatever was there. But going on bombing, first saying to move to a certain area, then bombing that area, nobody is asking. The West is so mild on it. I sometimes say, as mothers, when they look at their children doing some mischief, say they're naughty. That is the maximum word that you hear. The protests are done as a band-aid on the wound. So the international community is dead. The Muslims have no voice. They are afraid of their own security. The whole Middle East have the security issue. The Arabs will not let us play any role, the Ajamis, the non-Arabs in their region. So Turkey is kept away. Pakistan will not be allowed to play any role there. Houthis are doing something, but they are Arabs, so they are allowed to do something. So please be sure that, and our great organization OIC is of no use, because it was created for the very purpose of this area. They have no plan, they have no fallback position, they don't have anything to offer. So I don't think you should have more hopes from international organization or regional organization. Only if Muslims, as Muslims, stand up, forgetting about their countries, then something can happen.
And what can they possibly do?
See, the first thing was the boycott, which has struck many big companies, MNCs. But see how careless we are. KFC is sponsoring your PSL, sorry. Where are we? Are we totally dead, brain dead, or what? So we have to be more aggressively following Israel on every front, economic or whatever. Try to block them anywhere in the world. Not only UN or others. If you see an Israeli official, you should block him. And we should make more aggressive statements on Gaza in every part of the world. There may be no Israeli, but you have to change the public opinion against Israel to show them in the true light that they are murderers, they are inhuman and whatever, monsters. Then only there will be pressure on Israel, and then they may stop.
But we don't see any possibility of that happening in the near future.
The temporary ceasefire will happen around 10th of March, before Ramadan, because if it continues, then the reaction from Muslim public may topple certain Islamic countries. So Muslim leaders are crying before Western powers to do something before Ramadan, which is around 10th. Around 10th, like at the moment, in certain states in America, they say leave Biden. Their campaign, Muslims will not vote for Biden. Similarly, if this threat builds around the world, then pressure could come. But
Biden also did place some sanctions on Israel recently.
It's just lip service. Nothing is happening to them. The most important thing was that Israel should have not been provided with heavy ammunitions, aircrafts, helicopters. So the heavy armament, if had been deprived to Israel, then it would have been much better. Israel is now bombing Lebanon. Belbek was bombed yesterday. They are bombing everywhere. if it was not for America, they would have stopped on the 10th
But this
day.
is what drives their entire economy. It is very war based. There are wars happening, and that is
War
what
is
drives their
happening.
economy.
See, but this is not war.
It's a
This
genocide.
is a genocide. You are killing innocent people because they are not able to react. They don't have missile batteries. They don't have enough weapons to respond to. So we have to be very careful about it. We have to create more noise, and we have to keep it going on. Even after there is peace in Gaza, I think we have to keep this campaign on. Let's not buy anything which is connected to Israel. See, the companies who provide you Pizza Hut, KFC, Ariel, go daily to Israeli soldiers and providing them food. It is not the Israeli government, it is these companies. Ariel took washing machines to the war front, cleaning their clothes. Why should we buy it?
And boycotting is the maximum that we can do
the
at
minimum.
this point.
It is the minimum. We should have asked our young people and professionals to go there and fight alongside the Gazans. Like our people did in Lebanon in 76, our people did in Syria, Iraq, everywhere. Philippines, the list goes on. Our people were everywhere. Why not in Gaza? And forget about massacres. World has a very short memory about massacres. Be it Muslims, Nakaba, nobody had said anything to Israel. Similarly, Armenian massacre, what the world did about it, though it was Turks will not be happy on this mention, but world is a place which is. What about Chechen wars? How Russia was punished for killing so many Chechens in their area. So it's a very thing. America killed almost 1 million Iraqis. Did UN say anything to America? So massacres are part of the international politics, and world have a very short memory of them. So nobody will say. See, in colonization, the biggest colonizer were the Belgians. Very small people killed millions of Africans. Do anybody refer to it?
No.
So we have to keep our. See, the only genocide which is referred time and again is the Holocaust of the Jews, where the numbers are boosted. It is every day it is told to you to what had happened then. What about other crises? So about Gaza, we have to be sure that this crisis will, even if it ends, we have to keep repeating it and keeping it alive through moments, movies, novels, podcasts, whatever.
But all of that is done in retrospect. When all is done, when all the losses have happened, and it's too late. तो हम तो बाद में जाके movies बनाते हैं, बाद में जाके content
No,
बनाते
but
हैं.
the purpose is that it should not be repeated. So in the running moment, we have to do firefighting, but for long term, we have to keep it alive so that it does not happen again, or no other country do it and get away with it.
I think, sir, this conversation can go on and on, but we should conclude it here.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here today. It was a very insightful conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So that's it for today. This is your host, Fatma Zahid from the SHRS Podcast. We'll see you again in the next episode. Allah Hafiz.